In today's presentation, I would like to talk about three major theoretical frameworks that have shaped literary criticism. The first one, postcolonialist theories, after that, structuralism and semiotics, and finally, narratology. Each of these approaches offers a unique lens through which literature can be read, analyzed, and understood. The first one, postcolonialism, examines literature from formerly colonized regions, interrogating the legacy of colonialism and imperialism. It explores themes of identity, race, and cultural hybridity, as well as the politics of representation and othering. Postcolonial critics analyze how literature reflects the experiences of colonized people and engages with questions of power, identity, and resistance in the aftermath of colonialism. Then, structuralism and semiotics. It is a study of signs and symbols and how they function by underlining structures and patterns. It seeks to uncover these rules and codes through the analysis of recurring motifs, binary oppositions, and narrative structures. Their aim is to reveal the universal principles that govern language and communication. Structuralism and semiotics can be applied in the field of literature, as they offer analytical tools for understanding the structure. And finally, narratology is the study of how narratives make meaning, including the analysis of their structures, elements, functions, how stories are constructed, how they engage readers, how narratives create suspense, evoke empathy, and convey themes. Narratology explores the plot, narrative voice, point of view, characterization, and narrative time. It is interdisciplinary, drawing on insights from literature, linguistics, psychology, and other fields to understand nature and function of storytelling. It also provides tools for understanding how narratives work and how they shape our understanding of the world. When discussing postcolonialism, some of its most influential representatives include Edward Said, Gayatri Spivak, and Homi Bhabha. Each of them has made a unique contribution to the way we understand identity, power, and cultural representation. As regards Edward Said, he proposes two key concepts, Orientalism and otherness. Orientalism is how the West constructs a distorted image of the East to justify colonialism. It depends on the culturally constructed distinction between the Occident and the Orient. And otherness, it studies of how the East is represented as other. The other is always inferior to the colonizer. It emphasizes the cultural differences that reinforce stereotypes, that they are exalted and primitive. This dehumanizes them. As regards Spivak, she proposes one key concept that is subaltern. Subalterns are marginalized and oppressed groups within society, silenced and excluded from the dominant discourse and power structures. And finally, Bhabha proposes three key concepts that are hybridity, mimicry, and colonial ambivalence. First of all, hybridity. It is the creation of new cultural forms and identities through the blending of colonizer and colonized culture in the third space, where cultures meet and interact. As regards mimicry, describes the act of a colonized society imitating the culture and ways of the colonizer, but with a subtle twist. And finally, colonial ambivalence has to do with colonizers that they want to feel superior, but need to justify their presence by making the colonized similar to them. Structuralism is an intellectual movement which is represented by the linguist Saussure, the anthropologist Lévi-Strauss, and by the literary critic Roland Barthes. As regards Saussure, he introduced the concept of the signifier, that is the physical form of a sign, and the signified, that is the mental concept of meaning associated with the sign. He emphasized the importance of the signifier relationship in the process of signification. As regards Lévi-Strauss, he proposed that human cultures are structured by binary oppositions such as black and white, nature and culture. He argued that these oppositions form the basis of meaning and are present in myths, rituals, and cultural forms. As regards Roland Barthes, he focused on the analysis of signs in various cultural texts, including literature. He emphasized the importance of the reader's role in understanding texts. And he believed that the job of the intellectual or critic is to expose myths, to denaturalize what appears obvious and show its underlying structure. Finally, I'm going to describe narratology briefly. And its representatives are Aristotle, Vladimir Propp, and Jenna Genet. According to Aristotle, plot is considered to be the most important element of a narrative. A well-constructed plot must have a beginning, a middle, and an end, and follow a logical sequence of events. In his work Poetics, Aristotle identifies character and action as the essential elements in a story and says that character must be revealed through action, which is to say, through aspects of a plot. For him, a good story must have unity, meaning all elements should be connected and necessary to the main action. As regards Vladimir Propp, was a Russian formalist critic who analyzed over 100 Russian fairy tales and identifies recurrent narrative structures. He argued that all folk tales share a common sense of actions, which he called functions. He identified 31 narrative functions which follow a predictable order. Not all tales include every function, but they actually appear in the same sequence. They were reduced to 7. The hero, the villain, the donor, the helper, the princess and her father, the dispatcher, and the false hero. Finally, according to Gerald Genet, he makes a distinction between story and discourse. For him, story is the chronological sequence of events, what happens, and discourse is the way the story is told, how it is narrated. After that, he described focalization, which means viewpoint or perspective, which is to say the point of view from which the story is told. There are many possibilities, for example, external focalization, the viewpoint is outside, the character depicted, so we are told only things which are external, that is, what the characters say or do. In the opposite, internal focalization, the focus is on what the characters think or feel, these being things which would be inaccessible to you even if you have been present.